Good morning, everybody. So today I would like to welcome you all to the APE 2019 conference. First, a big thank you to Arnoud and all the organizers for another stellar APE conference, which is going from strength to strength. The APE is again hosted here in Berlin, which is a city staking its claim to be one of Europe's top tech hubs. This is appropriate, as technology has been fundamentally changing our industry. Whether it's the printing press, the birth of the internet, or newer challenges, big data and artificial intelligence. Our industry, the publishing industry, has been able to respond, change and adapt. We're no longer the only ones in the room. There's also today big tech companies that are increasingly becoming part of scholarly communication. We as publishers have to do a better job articulating what our value is. I officially ended my term as president of the International Publishers Association, the IPA, at the end of last year. The IPA is the world's largest federation of national publishers associations. Its membership comprises 81 organizations from 69 countries. And here in Germany, it's the Börsenverein. Through its members, the IPA represents thousands of individual publishers around the world who serve markets containing more than 5.6 billion people. It was an honor to serve as its president, and it gave me a few key insights into the value of our industry relevant to this audience, and I wish to share with you today. And these insights are centered around copyright, freedom to publish, and diversity and inclusion, and all of that within 4 minutes. The first insight is that the value of our industry is built on the bedrock that is copyright, often seen perhaps as a roadblock towards innovation. In fact, copyright is a driver for creativity. It provides the legal framework that drives the incentive to create and to innovate. This is not my opinion. For the first time in 2018, we actually saw that policymakers are starting to recognize this important connection. The landmark vote in the European Parliament last summer made it crystal clear. Copyright matters and is more relevant than ever, also in the digital age. For scholarly publishers, copyright remains important, regardless from which business model you want to use, whether you like open access or subscription or any other model. In both situations, we need to ensure that what we publish is unique, certified through peer review, to be true and accurate, and protected so others can rely on the information that is published. These aims are different than what big tech wants. Make no mistake, while we see some progress on the rhetoric surrounding copyright, it remains under an intense and sustained attack by big tech. They are well funded and remain influential globally, with special flashpoints here in the EU, South Africa, Australia and Canada. As publishers, we must remain vocal, not just in voicing our support for copyright, but also what copyright means for society. This is important because we are also experiencing what is so-called techlash, a backlash against tech companies. Scandals surrounding giant companies such as Google, Amazon and Facebook, yes, they're all American, whose platforms are used to disseminate fake news, which in turn undermine the democracies we live in. These platforms have also shown repeatedly they cannot be trusted with the massive data they have on their users. Let's contrast that to publishers. We are and remain the stewards of truth, establishing the difference between fact and fiction, quality and rubbish. This role has not changed, but what has changed is that people have forgotten is our true value for scholarly communication. The second insight is on the freedom to publish as well as academic freedom. In today's world, only 13% of the world's population enjoys a free press. And the fact remains that publishers are under increasing threat of censorship. In academic publishing, this came, for instance, from China. Publishers were caught up in a political attempt to prevent Chinese scholars reading about certain sensitive topics. In 2019, we expect further pressure, and not just from the usual suspects. In the US, for instance, the IPA has been vocal in denouncing 2 attempts by the Trump administration to prevent books unpopular with the US president from being published. What is next? Taking down articles about climate change? This is a trend that cannot go on. The third and final insight is on diversity and inclusion. We as an industry have to be much more aware of change, not just for our day-to-day business, but also in attracting and retaining the right talent. When I look at this audience, I see colleagues of all ages, men and women. It is this diversity that will help our industry drive change. In fact, most of our organizations have recognized that cultivating diversity is a moral imperative as well as good for business. In 2018, we saw landmark studies such as the gender pay gap in the UK, which did not look particularly good for publishers nor universities. But diversity is much more than just gender. It's also about ethnicity and sexual preference. The outstanding study from Workplace Equity Project into diversity and in the scholarly publishing industry showed the lack of empathy for the less privileged. Men cannot imagine the problem women face. Straight folks have problems relating to the challenges of their LGBTI colleagues. White staff have little empathy for difficulties their colleagues of color face just because of their race. This year, I will personally put D&I on the agenda as the IPA envoy for diversity and inclusion in the publishing industry, and a call for more empathy. In conclusion, I feel strongly that our industry is supposed to respond to the challenges of 2019 and beyond. Our pipelines are full of ideas, big ideas about business models, about quality, innovation, and fostering diversity. What I urge you all is that we move past defending our past position and actions and start talking about our collective vision for the future. A future which is positive and should be inclusive. Will it be about platforms, policies, and pipelines? I'm not so sure, but I know we as publishers need to be at the table discussing our ideas. I wish you all a very fruitful and constructive 2019 APA conference. Thank you.